Deep beneath the vast landscapes of East Africa, a monumental transformation is underway, one that will, over millions of years, redraw the map of not just a continent, but the entire world. This is the story of the East African Rift Valley, a place where the very ground beneath our feet is splitting apart, and where the distant echoes of geological forces promise the birth of a new ocean. At first glance, the Rift Valley appears as a dramatic scar across the face of Africa, a chain of valleys, escarpments, and volcanic peaks stretching more than 6,000 kilometers. It begins at the Afar Triple Junction in northeastern Ethiopia and extends all the way down to Mozambique in the south. But what makes this region truly extraordinary is not just its appearance, it's what lies beneath. Here, the Earth's outer shell, or lithosphere, is being pulled in different directions by colossal tectonic forces. To understand what's happening in the African Rift Valley, we need to look at the concept of plate tectonics. The Earth's crust isn't a single unbroken shell. It's made up of huge plates that float atop the semi-fluid mantle below. Sometimes these plates grind past each other or collide, causing earthquakes and mountain building. But here, in East Africa, something different is happening. The plates are pulling apart. This is known as a divergent plate boundary, and it's the driving force behind the East African Rift System. 3 major tectonic plates converge in this region. The African Plate, often referred to as the Nubian Plate, the Somali Plate, and the Arabian Plate. At the Afar Triangle, these plates meet in a dramatic geological crossroads. Over time, the Somali Plate is drifting away from the Nubian Plate at a rate of just a few millimeters to a couple of centimeters per year. It may not sound like much, but over the course of millions of years, these tiny movements add up to monumental changes. As these plates move apart, the crust of the Earth begins to stretch, crack, and thin. This process is called rifting. The ground fractures along massive faults, forming the characteristic valleys and escarpments that define the landscape. In some places, the land literally drops away, forming deep depressions like the Afar Depression in Ethiopia, one of the lowest and hottest places on Earth. But the story doesn't end with rifting. As the plates continue to separate, the stretching crust becomes so thin that the mantle below begins to well up. Hot magma rises, sometimes reaching the surface in spectacular volcanic eruptions. The region is home to some of the world's most active and unusual volcanoes, such as Erta in Ethiopia, with its persistent lava lake, and Nyiragongo in the Democratic Republic of Congo, famous for its fast-flowing lava. These volcanic eruptions are more than just dramatic spectacles. They're a crucial part of the process of creating new crust. As magma cools and solidifies, it forms fresh rock, slowly building up the floor of what will one day become an ocean basin. The presence of these volcanoes is a clear sign that the rift is active and that the process of continental breakup is well underway. Over time, as the rift continues to widen and the crust continues to thin, the land between the plates sinks further and further. This is called subsidence. The rift valleys become deeper, and in places, they fill with water, forming large lakes such as Lake Tanganyika and Lake Malawi. These lakes aren't just scenic wonders, they're harbingers of the future. In time, as the rift grows and deepens, it will eventually drop below sea level. When that happens, the next stage of the process begins. The invasion of the ocean, the surrounding seas, such as the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, will find their way into the rift, flooding the valleys and turning them into the world's newest ocean. This is exactly how the Atlantic Ocean began to form more than 100 million years ago, when South America and Africa began to drift apart. Of course, geological time moves at a pace that can be hard to grasp. The full process, from rifting to subsidence to the birth of a new ocean, will take millions of years. Scientists estimate that it could be 5 to 10 million years before the East African Rift becomes a true ocean basin. But the signs of this transformation are already visible today. Take, for example, the dramatic crack that appeared in southwestern Kenya in 2018. Stretching several kilometers long, this gash in the earth was a vivid reminder that the Rift Valley is still very much alive. Meanwhile, the volcanoes of the region continue to erupt, spewing ash and lava, and the spreading centers in the Afar Depression mark the places where new crust is being born. The regions most affected by this geological revolution are some of Africa's most diverse and dynamic. In the north lies Ethiopia's Afar Depression, a landscape of salt flats, hot springs, and active volcanoes. Here, the ground is sinking faster than anywhere else, and the crust is so thin that the hot mantle is almost within reach. Nearby, Djibouti and Eritrea also feel the forces of the rift, their landscapes shaped by tectonic upheaval. Further south, the rift runs through Kenya, where dramatic escarpments rise above fertile valleys and lakes shimmer in the sunlight. Tanzania and Mozambique, too, are part of this grand geological experiment, their land slowly being stretched and reshaped by the inexorable movement of the Earth's plates. As the rift continues to grow, one of the most profound changes may be the eventual splitting of the Horn of Africa. If current trends continue, the Somali Plate will one day break free from the rest of the continent, drifting out to sea and forming a new island landmass. This would create a new coastline, a new ocean, and a new chapter in the story of our planet. But what does all this mean for the people who live along the rift today? For many, the rift is both a blessing and a challenge. The volcanic soils are incredibly fertile, supporting rich agriculture and diverse ecosystems. At the same time, the region is prone to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other natural hazards. As the rift continues to evolve, scientists and local communities alike must adapt to the shifting ground beneath their feet. Globally, the East African Rift is a natural laboratory for understanding how continents break apart and new oceans are born. By studying the rift, geologists can learn about the processes that shaped the Atlantic and Indian Oceans and gain insights into the deep workings of our planet. The East African Rift reminds us that the Earth is not static, but always in motion, a planet alive with change. As we look to the future, the slow-motion drama unfolding in East Africa is a powerful testament to the dynamic nature of our world. In a few million years, the familiar outline of Africa will be forever changed. The Rift Valley will have become a new ocean, its shores lined with new coastlines, its waters teeming with life. The Horn of Africa may stand as a new island continent, a symbol of the ceaseless creativity of geological forces. For now, we can only watch as this ancient land continues to transform, bearing witness to the birth of an ocean and the splitting of a continent. It is a reminder that even the mightiest mountains and valleys are fleeting in the grand sweep of geological time, and that the world we know is always, quietly, becoming something new.